First of all, I want to extend a warm welcome to you if you are new to PopYS. My name is Janeé Jackson-Doring. I'm the Youth Services Consultant with the State Library of Iowa. Our plan today, we're going to talk about the benefits of teen volunteers and why does the library need them? Because we do need our teens. We're going to talk about where you can recruit teens and talk about orientation for teen volunteers. We're going to talk about what kinds of tasks you can give to teens when they volunteer at your library. And I'll also share some information about how young is too young to have a teen volunteer. And we're going to conclude with managing teen behaviors and rewarding your teens for a job well done. So, first off, why do teens volunteer? And why does the library need them? There are lots of reasons why teens volunteer, mostly service hours. Service hours are required for graduation in some school districts. In Des Moines, where I live, that is a requirement for the Des Moines Public School District. The teens have to, if they want to, from their freshman year to their senior year, they can collect, I believe it's like 160 hours of volunteer service and document those and turn them into their counselors. And by their senior year of high school, they get an honor cord, a service cord that they can wear during graduation. So service hours are required for graduation in some districts. It looks great on college applications and resumes. We have to remember that teens are starting to learn and build their resume, and they're starting to look at colleges. So this looks great on their college applications and resumes. Teens see the library as a safe, welcoming space. It's a third space for them, for their friends to hang out, read, study, and just be. We're losing our third spaces, and teens recognize that the library is that safe, welcoming space for them. Honor students. Some honor students might have to complete service hours as part of their requirements. So please take that into consideration as well. And I think we forget that teens want to feel useful. They want to feel helpful and contribute to the world. And another reason why teens volunteer, their peers. If their friends are doing it, if their friend is doing it, they want to be a part of the action too. This picture to your on your screen this is a picture of my old teen volunteers from when I worked at the Southside Library. This group means a lot to me. Try not to get sentimental. I got sentimental once, but they really do. They just fill a place in my heart, and they were a great group to work with, and they are a unique bunch. So also, why does the library need teen volunteers? According to YALSA, teen volunteers and providing volunteer opportunities, it provides opportunities for teens to interact with individuals of all ages. So from the tiny 5-year-old that's coming to turn in their summer reading log to the caregiver who wants to sign up their kids for summer reading. It provides those opportunities for interaction, and they're learning to communicate with different populations. They are demonstrating cooperation and responsibility. They're learning, a schedule. They're learning that, oh, wow, if I'm scheduled to volunteer from 2 o'clock to 3:30, I need to be responsible and show up. So it's demonstrating cooperation and responsibility. We are helping them develop job skills and good work habits. Another thing to consider is also the 40 developmental assets. The assets are created by the Search Institute, and these assets are just 40 traits that teens need in order to grow and become healthy, caring, responsible adults. Excuse me. So some developmental assets in regards to teen volunteers, think about the community. The community values youth, where teens perceive that adults in the community value youth and they care about what they think and feel. Another asset, youth are seen as resources where teens have useful roles in the community. They feel like they're a part of something and they're helping that entity thrive and grow. Also, another asset is service to others, where teens serve in the community 1 hour or more per week. You can take a peek at all of the 40 developmental assets in the link that I've provided at the end of my presentation. More reasons why the library needs them. We're teaching teens how libraries work in our profession. They need to know what we do. We're more than just, yes, we provide you books. We have projects, we have things we plan. The library is so much more. And when we give them a task, we're teaching them about our profession. We're teaching them how libraries work. For example, for a group of teens, we at my old library, there were a lot of DVDs. There was a ton of DVDs. And our library had switched it so that way DVDs were now free for checkout. And all of the DVDs had those dollar stickers on them. So a project for my teens was to take the sticker remover and remove the dollar stickers. And one of them had asked, why was the library charging $1 to rent DVDs? And I explained to him, well, we charge so that way we can have money to buy more DVDs. So we're teaching them how libraries work, our profession, what we do, how we purchase things, and so forth. Early volunteerism can lead to a strong work ethic. We want to build that strong work ethic in our teens, and we want to help them build their skills. And volunteering offers teens real life work experiences. This is different from being at home or in the classroom. We want to provide them with real life work experiences that they can add to their resume. And teens who have a positive experience will support the library as adults. And quite frankly, you want to help them grow. You want to help them thrive and succeed. The teen on your screen, her name is Ellie Hildebrandt. She was one of my teen volunteers that I met when I went to the middle school to promote the summer reading program and the teen volunteer program. She volunteered for me at the Southside Library since 7th grade. And so I got to see Ellie grow and thrive. And the cool thing about Ellie is that she loved the library. She loved volunteering and just hanging out after school. The other thing is at that time when she was a student, the library that I was working for had multiple branches and they were closed one day of the week. And the city was considering adding a 1 cent tax to raise money so that way the library could open up their branches more than one day a week. And Ellie spoke in front of not only the library in the city, but there was a newspaper article written about her, and she promoted the library and she said, hey, the library needs to be open more than one day a week because they're being closed one day a week. And I use the library for studying and for hanging out with my friends. And so she used her voice to help the library get that 1 cent raise tax. And the library was able to open up instead of being closed one day a week. So it was awesome that she was able to have such a positive experience at the library and use the library to her advantage for her studying and just hanging out, that she used her voice to say, hey, this institute is needed. So that's the power of teen volunteers, and that's the power of what they can do. So where can I recruit teens? So some best practices, I would check these places. Obviously, your middle schools and your high schools, talking with your guidance counselor, your volunteer coordinators, if there's a librarian or a media specialist, and definitely talk to your English teachers. I had the best luck talking to English teachers because I would say to them, hey, I would love to come and talk to your teens about summer reading, the summer reading program, all the cool teen opportunities we've got. And I would bring book talks. So I really connected with those English teachers. They were great. They just had that time where they would just carve it out for me, where I could just go and talk about the summer reading program and the teen volunteer program. And I just brought a couple book talks to get teens interested. Um, so definitely connect with your middle school and high schools. Social media is always great. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. If you can use TikTok, that's great. But make sure you check with your city's policy on social media and its usage. Service clubs. Check your key clubs. Boys and Girl Scouts, especially if you have some um, Eagle Scouts that want to volunteer. Your 4-H clubs. See if they have volunteers that would love to come to volunteer at the library. Your Rotary clubs. All those clubs would be great places to search for teen volunteers. I also wanted to mention homeschool families. And the reason I say that is because there are some families that inquire about teen volunteer opportunities for their teen. Um, I had a nice group of homeschool families that would come to volunteer at the library for me. But that would be another resource to tap into as well. And of course, your classroom visits. So again, I cannot specify this enough. Connect with an English teacher or a media specialist and ask if you can talk to the teens about summer reading volunteer opportunities and bring book talks. And just to give you an idea of what a volunteer application looks like, I provided some different examples for you. So on the screen, you're seeing Washington Free Public Library's volunteer application, and they also have a waiver of liability. Now you're probably thinking, what the heck is a waiver of liability? A waiver of liability, or some people call it a liability waiver, basically it's a form that they sign that says the library is not responsible if there's injury or some type of risk. So for Washington Public Library, they have their volunteer application that has their contact info, email address, if the individual is under 18, which volunteer position they're interested in, listing any past volunteer or work experience or special skills, what times of day would they want to volunteer, how many hours per week, and the names of references. The other thing I want to point out is at the bottom of this form, or near bottom, it says, I understand the references listed above may be contacted and that my name may be searched in the Iowa Sex Offender Registry prior to my being contacted for an interview. This is important. At my previous position at Des Moines Public Library, which I'm going to show their application, this is their Volunteen application and their liability waiver. We also had that on our form, on the form as well. At the bottom, it says SOR. That stands for Sex Offender Registry. It is important to do this. And I know it's hard, but it's better to do your due diligence and do your homework. So that is something to consider adding on your application. On the front of the Des Moines Public Library's application, it has the same things, name, phone, email. I like that they have, please list dates that you will be unavailable. So if you know a teen's going to be unavailable July 4th through the 17th, you know not to schedule them for those weeks. So I really like how they put that on there. They have, if the teen is available mornings, afternoons, or evenings, what days, what branch, if they want to volunteer at one branch or multiple branches, special skills, and do you have any food allergies? That's a good one to also add as well, just in case if you serve food and you know that Jane has a gluten allergy. So definitely add that as well. This is Burlington Public Library's volunteer application. This is on their website. Uh, the two that you just saw were paper forms. So this one is on their website and it asks for or same information, but there's also different things like where in the library would you prefer to volunteer? The adult, youth, uh, home delivery library, friends of the library, footnotes. So this is another example of a volunteer application form. And this example is actually an advertisement for teen volunteers. This is West Des Moines Public Library's ad or call for teen volunteers. This was April 29th of last year. And I liked their post because if you notice on this advertisement, they have specified that the applicant must be 13 years old and have completed 7th grade. And I just saw that they've just posted again for more teen library volunteers for this summer. And they posted this on Instagram. So these are just some things to consider. Some other things to think about. Interviews. Do you want to conduct interviews with the teens? Do you have time to conduct interviews with the teens? Capacity. Do you have too little or too many teens applying? When I worked at Des Moines Public Library, Franklin Avenue Library, they had so many teens volunteering, they had to cap it to 30. So you have to make that call whether you want 15 teen volunteers or just 5, or if this is how many you want, that's okay. If you have a small amount, that's fine. But just keep in mind the capacity as well. How will you communicate information to caregivers? What will be the way that you contact them in case Johnny is sick? Or, hey, if I need Jane to come in and volunteer, how will you communicate that information? Also, please consider your staff and the staff buy-in. What are their expectations of teen volunteers? I think it's best practice to give your staff clear expectations and explain to them what it's like to work with teens, just so that way they have a heads up and that way they can have some buy-in as well. Some other best practices to consider: check with your city's human resources department for teen volunteers, and if there's an application already made or if that's something you need to do. Create an application and have that contact information in writing so that way you can refer to it right away. I kept all of my teen volunteers applications and contact info in a binder. So that way, if something happened, I could just look and find their information right away. And that was very helpful. Also, again, consider having a liability waiver for teen and adult volunteers. The other thing that you should do after you've selected your crop of teens, give them an orientation, give them a tour. You have some teens who know your library and they've been in your library. And then you have some teens that have never stepped foot in your library. So as part of the orientation, give them a tour. Show them where they're going to be volunteering. If you have a summer reading table and you're going to have them at the summer reading table, show them where that table is going to be. Show them what they're going to be working with. So that way they can get onboarded and they can feel confident. Introduce them to staff. Your staff doesn't know who they are. You know them, but they don't. So make sure you introduce them and tell them that, hey, they're going to be volunteering for you for the summer. I also recommend to set your expectations. So what do I mean by that? Think about how many hours are they expected to volunteer. Do you want them to volunteer 2 hours per shift? Do you want them to just volunteer 1 hour per shift? So think about that before you talk to the teens. Also, think about who will they call when they can't volunteer. Because again, we're teaching them job-related skills. When they get into the real world, what do they do when they're sick? You've got to call your supervisor. They've got to call their supervisor. That was something I really wanted to say to those teens, and I'm glad I said it because you have teens that might just flake out. You have teens that are busy or whatnot. So I would, on the form that I gave them about orientation, I put my name, my email, and my contact number. And I said, if you can't make it, the proper thing to do is to call. Call so that way we know, and that way we can get another team scheduled. Schedules. When will they receive them? Think about when they will receive those schedules. When I had my teen volunteer orientation, I gave them a tour of the library and I talked about how they will sign up kids for summer reading, what to do, the procedures. And at the end of the orientation, each team got their schedule a month in advance, just so that way I could keep my sanity. And that way the caregiver knew when to bring them, or they knew, okay, I got to get a ride on this day or this day. And consider having a dress code and using name tags. As part of being a teen volunteer, they're representing the library. They're representing what we do. So you don't have teens coming in with t-shirts that have swear words or teens with midriff shirts. So consider having a dress code because remember, they're representing the library. And definitely using create name tags for them. Maybe you just get a lanyard and print out their name on Canva, on cardstock, and maybe put teen volunteer, and then put it in a little like plastic holder so that way they can find their name tag each time they come in to volunteer. I also told the teens no texting or cell phone use during their shift. They're there to volunteer. So that was the expectation, especially if you have kids coming in to sign up for summer reading or to claim their prize at the summer reading table. So that was a big thing for me to set that expectation. If they had nothing to do at the summer reading table and all their tasks were done, they were more than welcome to read a book or a magazine or read on their Kindles. That was totally fine. And also, make sure you reaffirm those expectations so everybody is on the same page and give them copies of their schedule based on their availability. So you're thinking, okay, that's great and dandy, but really, what tasks can I give them to do in the building? They can do a multitude of tasks for you. Most importantly, they can sign up your kids and other teens for the summer reading program. This is an example of Sioux Center Public Library. This is a picture of teens working with kids to sign them up for the summer reading program. So they can sit at the summer reading sign-up table. They can register kids and teens and families for the program. And they can check their bingo sheets or their reading logs to make sure that they got everything done. And when they get it done, hey, you can pick a prize from the prize card. They can watch as the kids pick a prize from the prize card or however you plan it at your library. Craft prep. Oh, yeah. I loved having teens because of the craft prep. They can do a multitude of crafts for you. So some examples, you can have them cut out craft pieces for story time crafts or special events. We had the insect zoo come to our library, and I knew the insect zoo was going to be popular. And the meeting room at my old building could hold 75 people comfortably. So to alleviate crowds in that meeting room, I had some teen volunteers cut out some shapes. And in the children's area, we had a Build-A-Bug station. So if they didn't want to be in the meeting room, they could go to the kids area and I had some construction paper and different shapes that the kids could glue and some crayons or markers, and they could build a bug. And the teen volunteers did a wonderful job cutting out those pieces for me. So have them cut out craft pieces for storytime crafts or special events. They can help you set up tables for programs. They can measure out materials for slime events. I love making slime. And I had great teen volunteers helping me measure out the glue and the materials before families got there. That can be a big help to you. And they can help with messy programs. They can set out supplies for upcoming events or programs. And they can prep take and make bags for you too. Cleaning projects. Yes, they can help with cleaning projects. And before you give them any cleaning project, please give them use of gloves for any cleaning project. The reason I say this is because we don't want a chemical to have a skin irritant for the teen. So please give them use of gloves for any cleaning project. And what types of things they can clean? They can clean toys in the kids area and after story time. Because let's face it, you know how babies put stuff in their mouths. We definitely want to keep those toys clean and safe. They can get Clorox wipes and wipe down tables and chairs in the children's area. They can wipe down tables and chairs in the meeting rooms. After a program, they can just do that. You can give them a duster or pledge wipes. They can dust the tops of shelves. I had a teen volunteer go up to the teen loft at my old library, and I gave him some gloves and some pledge wipes and a cart, and we had a cart, and he would take the books, put them on the cart, wipe, put the books back. Kept those shelves very, very clean. I was so happy. You can also have the teens wipe the inside of the picture book bins or the board book bins, because let's face it, those bins get dusty. They get dusty. There might be bugs in there. So it's good to have those bins cleaned out. They can also straighten the children's area after story time. So they can do these projects for you. They can assist, of course, with children's programs. And some examples, they could be a head counter or a runner. So for example, if you have a magician come or the insect zoo, maybe you have a teen by the door and they're holding a counter clicker and they're just clicking and counting the number of people that come in for an event. And once that event is done, you give that teen a Post-it note and a pencil, they can write that number down and give you the number count. And if you are in the throes of a program, maybe you have that person grab supplies for you, so that way you're not having to leave that area. Your teens can also play with the kids. They like to play too. So during an outdoor story time, they can play parachute with the parachutes with the kids. Give them some sidewalk chalk. They can draw with the kids. They can blow bubbles or assist in other play activities. And it can assist you with setup and cleanup. If you have a large event that has stations or a large program, maybe a summer reading finale or a summer reading kickoff, they can supervise an activity station. They could run a game station during a family program. They can keep kids supervised while conducting an activity and keeping them safe. And they can report to you of any spills, messes, or if a child vomits, because let's face it, that does happen. They can do that for you too. And they can help assist with setup and cleanup of your program. Another thing teens can do, if you have a teen that is willing, they can volunteer to be a costume wearer. This is a picture of me at Southside with Rosie, the reading monster or the reading mascot. Rosie, this costume was worn by two teen volunteers who were very great and very expressive, Zana and Zofia. They are brother and sister pair, and they did a fabulous job wearing the Rosie costume. So consider having a teen being a costume wearer. You can rent a costume and have them wear the costume. You can hold a special costume character themed story time where the teen acts out parts of a story that you're planning to read. And afterwards, the kids can meet and greet with that character. I will say though, if you decide to do this, make sure you review the expectations of what this program entails for the teen. Because for costume wearers, remember, they can't talk. They can't talk during a program. And if you're reading an interactive story, you need to explain to the teen what that story is and how they are to move in that costume. And if a teen is hot or if they need some water, you need to have a sign to communicate to that teen or have that teen communicate to you that they need a water break. This was my sign. This was kind of like the tap out sign. So I would tell the teen, if you need a water break, just tap on your arm and I will take you back to the staff break room so they could get some water. The other thing is you also want to make sure with the costumes, they have a height requirement. So double check to make sure if that teen can have that requirement for that costume. They can also shelve books and they can shelve picture books and board books. I had these types of bins where there was a top bin and a bottom bin, and the teen could just shelve the picture books based on the two letters on the spine of the book of the author's last name. And so they just had to look for the two letters in the author's last name, find the picture book bin that associated with those letters, and put the book in there. Same thing for board books. They can shelve picture books and board books. And if they're bored, they can check the picture book and board bins for out of place books. Some other tasks that teens can do, because let's face it, I mean, there's so many tasks. I had them test markers. And you're like, Janeé, why are you having them test markers? Because let's face it, we don't have time to test and see if the markers are working. So give them some butcher paper, give them some junk paper, and let them test those markers. And if they have markers that work, great. Have them put them in this basket. If there's markers that don't work, fine. Put these in the trash bin, or I think Crayola has a recycling program where you can recycle unused, or no, sorry, not unused, but dried up markers as well. So have them test markers at the table. And Rachel says yes, and have them refill glue bottles. Yes, absolutely. Mary says we had them making balloon animals and they're fearless. Yes, that's a great task. Another task you can give them is maintaining book displays. Why? To fill in spaces where there's an empty space for a book. This is a picture of a shelf, and I love it because they're using the rule of three, keeping 3 books on the shelf. And at the bottom is space where they can refill those books. There's books that are lined up. So if there's a book that's missing or if there's no space, they can just fill that space. And they can also write book recommendations and shelf talkers. And I loved this idea because every time you go to a bookstore, whether it's Barnes and Noble or the Tattered Cover in Denver, that's one of my favorite places. I loved it because they had staff recommendations on cards. And it's one thing to have staff recommending a book, but it's another thing when it's a teen expressing their opinion on why they liked a book. These are 2 different pictures. This is a picture of the book, The Squad, and there's a young man, Dominic. He wrote his review about why he liked The Squad. And the picture on the bottom is a reader-to-reader picture, and it's a young woman talking about The Vampire Stalker. So they can help promote your collection. So you can give them a 3x5 card and tell them, hey, you really liked that book? Oh, really? You liked Assassination Classroom? Tell us about it. Why? Have them write that review. And then if you have space on your shelf, maybe you put it there. Ooh, and Catherine says, just on the note of mascots, Catherine put a link of our checklist and code of conduct for anyone who would find it helpful. Yes, Sharing is caring. Thank you, Catherine. I really believe in finding ways for teens to lend their talent. Teens are very talented. They are very, very talented, and we just have to look and see what they're talented in. Look at what are they good at? What are they skilled in? Are they crafty? Maybe they love to draw. Maybe you have them draw a sign for your program. Are they organized? Maybe you might ask them to straighten shelves in the children's area. Are they good with shelving? Maybe they can shelve picture books and board books. Are they good with the Dewey Decimal System? Maybe they can shelve your children's nonfiction. Are they bilingual? If they're bilingual, ask if they can help sign up families for summer reading. I had two teen girls, they were sisters, and they were fluent in Spanish. And when they were at the summer reading table volunteering together, they would notice a Spanish speaking family come to their table, and they were able to communicate with that family in Spanish and ask them if they wanted to sign up for summer reading. So really take a look at your teens. What are they good at? What are they skilled in? And another teen spotlight, just to give you an example, this is one of my other teen volunteers. Her name is Cassidy Kelly. I met her when she was a freshman at Lincoln High School here in Des Moines. She is now a junior. I cannot believe it. She's a junior, and she volunteered at the Southside Library with me for 2 years. Smart gal, very sweet. And I knew she loved to draw. I knew it. It was just seeing her work, I knew she loved to draw. And I had a program at the Southside Library where I had the city's environmental education specialists come and have talked to us about birds. And he brought binoculars, and the kids got to walk around looking for birds, and they got to make a bird feeder at the end of the program. It's a great program. And for all of my presenters for summer reading, I wanted to send a thank you card. And I bought some card stock, and I just folded it in half, like a big poster board, excuse me. I got a big poster board, cut it down, and folded it in half to make the card. But my drawing skills are not the best, let's face it. I mean, I love to junk journal, I love to paste and cut, but my drawing skills are so-so. But I knew Cassidy had really good drawing skills. And I said, hey, Cassidy, could you draw a bird or a couple birds and just write thank you like in big letters? And she said, yeah, no problem. So she drew the birds and she drew the thank you at the top of the card. And then I had pictures of the event. And then the kids that came wrote their names on the card to give to the specialist. So it was great. She did a wonderful job. She loved shelving picture books and board books, and she was fast. And Southside, they hired her last year as a library page. So that was super cool to see, even after I left, that they saw what I saw in Cassidy, that they said, yeah, let's have you come work for us as a library page. And so that's her after school job, is to go to the library and help shelve and help set up programs with the adult librarian or the youth librarian. Haiti says, do you have any advice on how to find out teens' talents? Many of my library teens are shy. Observe them. What are they doing? What are you noticing? Just really be engaged with them. Ask them what do they like. Be observant. That would be my advice. So that's a great question. Yeah, so I'm really happy and proud of Cassidy. She's just a really nice human being. Now, how young is too young? Because let's face it, you don't want a 10-year-old or an 11-year-old. That is way too young. And for teens, we want to give them that experience. They're learning to be independent. So best practices for age limits: Set an age limit so that ages 12 to 18 window is perfect. And stick to it. Don't make exceptions. If you have to have it in your policy, have it in your policy. And just remember, middle schoolers have a different maturity level than older teens. You're going to be working with a crop of all different kinds of teens. You got your middle schoolers, your high schoolers, your soon-to-be seniors. So just keep in mind that there's a different maturity level from middle schoolers to teens, older teens, excuse me. If you have siblings, consider scheduling them together just because of transportation purposes. And while they're at your library together, have them conduct different tasks. Sometimes brothers and sisters, sometimes they like to just get into mischief. So if you see that happening, you can still have them volunteer for you at the same time, but maybe you give them different tasks. And look at your city's policy and your library's policy on teen and adult volunteers. Ash says, as part of our interview, we asked them a couple of icebreaker questions. Yes, like interests outside of school, favorite reads, school subjects, and what they're good at. It really helps us decide what tasks work best for them. Yes. Taylor says our limit is 9th grade and up. Yeah. Basically, as soon as they can earn silver cord, they can volunteer. Beautiful. That's great. Emily says we have a homeschool teen volunteer who can't alphabetize, but thinks he can. All other teens shelve all fiction in the children's section. How do I address this and not make him feel uncomfortable? That's a really good question. Wow. So is there a way? I might have to think hard on that. That's a really good question. I don't know if anyone has had that situation. Looks like Emily says give him other tasks to keep him busy. Yeah, you could do that. Are there things that he could do for you that would not be shelving? I mean, are there some other things that he's good at that he could do? That's what I would say. We're going to talk about best practices for managing teen behaviors and rewarding your teen behavior, or rewarding teens for a job well done after the summer reading program is over. So you might have some situations where some teens, they are just not following the expectations, or they're having some behaviors that are causing some issues. This is the best practice for managing those behaviors. You definitely want to speak to the teen directly and away from other teens. Because let's face it, teens are nosy. They want to know the tea. They want to know what's going down. So speak to the teen directly and away from other teens. Address the problem and listen to the teen. I had a situation at my old library where I had a young man who loved volunteering during the summer for summer reading, but he always wanted to go behind the circulation desk. And I and the staff have specifically told him, you cannot go behind the circulation desk. The circulation desk is just for staff. I was gone one weekend and I came back on that Monday and I had staff saying to me, hey, so-and-so was behind the desk and I was telling him that he couldn't do it. Can you please talk to him? Yes, great, no problem. So I pulled the teen aside and I said, hey, what's going on? I hear that you were behind the circulation desk. And he said, well, I just wanted to hang out with Rosie and so-and-so. And I just really want to help behind the circulation desk. I want to check-in books. And I'm just fabulous, he said. And I said, that's great, but I really need you to be here at the summer reading table because we do have families coming in to sign up for the program or get their prize. And I said, I really need you to follow this direction. So I need you to please be at the table. And you have to explain. You have to explain why the behavior is appropriate. In his case, I said to him, this circulation desk is just for employees. You are not an employee, you are a volunteer. You are not being paid to be behind the desk. You need to issue a warning. Be firm, but be polite. Do not yell, just be firm, but polite. And document the behavior. Document, document, document. Whether it's an incident report or just a Microsoft Word document, the date, time, what happened, what staff was involved, document the behavior. You also want to give the teen a chance to correct the behavior. Part of learning is teens are learning to self-regulate. They're learning how to behave and become an adult. So give them a chance to correct the behavior. And if the behavior persists, tell them that they could lose their volunteer privileges. Another case in point, I had a young woman who was going into 8th grade. She volunteered for me for summer reading, and she wanted to bring her friend with her. So she wanted to have her friend sit at the summer reading table. And I said to her, I said, she's not a volunteer. I don't know who she is. She has not filled out a form. This table's just for volunteers only. And so I asked her, for her friend, to go upstairs in the teen loft while the teen was finishing her shift. And she got mad and she's like, well, why can't she do this? And I said, because I don't know her. She has not filled out a form. You have, and you've gone through orientation. And I also heard she was getting snippy with the staff, which is a big, big, big no-no. And I said to her, if this behavior persists, you could lose your volunteer privileges. You won't be a volunteer for me anymore. And she said, you could do that? Volunteers, they can get fired too? And I said, yeah, they can. And then that's what happened to her. Now, I say this because months later, actually years later, this teen came back into the library and she remembered me and we talked. And teens grow up and that's okay. It's fine. You still want to keep that relationship with the teen. Just because if something's not a good fit for that teen, that doesn't mean you shut them out. That doesn't mean you shut them out of the library. They are still a teen. They are still a human being. They're learning just like anybody else. You want to keep that dialogue. Even if things don't work out between you and your program with that teen, please keep that dialogue because you don't want to give them a negative expectation or a negative image of your library. I hope if you don't hear anything else I'm saying, I hope you please take this to heart. And yes, volunteers behind the desk may be a legal issue. Yes, absolutely. And yes, their brains are still wiring. Their brains are still cooking. The brain isn't fully developed in a teen until they're age 28. So please keep that in mind. You also want to thank your teens for a job well done. They've been volunteering for you all summer. I had a volunteer party for my teens because I asked them what they wanted. So I created an invite on Canva. But I asked them, hey, we're going to have this party for you to say thank you for all your volunteer service. What kind of food do you want? Because we had a relationship with Hy-Vee. And they said pizza. So we ordered pizza. What else? Chinese food. Okay. Dino nuggets. I don't like dino nuggets. I think they're the grossest things in the whole world. I'm not a fan of dino nuggets, but that's what they wanted. So I bought Chinese food, pizzas, I had root beer floats, and they had dino nuggets. That's what they wanted. And we had a good time. So ask your teens what they want. If you throw a volunteer party for them, great. I could not throw a volunteer party after hours. My boss was like, no. I said, that's okay. So we had a volunteer party during library operation hours. If they can't make it to a party because they're on vacation or whatnot, maybe you mail them a thank you certificate with some goodies. Maybe you give them like a really cool pouch with those water stickers or just some fun trinkets, maybe some cool highlighters or whatnot. But think of that as you are planning a thank you for your teens. You want to thank them for all the work that they've done. Was there an amount of hours volunteer required to attend the party? For me, no. I didn't have that as a requirement. I just wanted to thank them for just volunteering, whether if it was a small amount or a big amount. And the other cool thing was when I had the party, a lot of the teens, some of them knew each other, some of them didn't. And so they got to mix and mingle with each other. So that was a really cool thing to see. So just some parting reminders for you to think about. Just remember, teens are looking for ways to give back to their community, meaningful ways. And teens that volunteer at the library, they become adults that support the library. And we need that support from them more than ever. Please make sure you're managing behaviors appropriately with your teen volunteers and provide them positive experiences that they can remember and that they can share with their friends. So when they go back to school, they're like, yeah, I got to go to the library. Yeah, I did this craft, or yeah, I got to help with the magician, or hey, I got to have some yummy food, and we had a saran wrap, those saran wrap prize thing. Do you guys ever play that game, the saran wrap game, where you put a prize in the middle and you wrap it in saran wrap and they take turns? That was a cool event. I did that with my teens for the volunteer party. So I put in some fun prizes and they all took turns unwrapping it, and whatever they got to keep. So that was super fun. I also put in a lot of articles for you to consider reading. The article from Karen Jensen from School Library Journal, it's called Volunteens at My Library. That was a good article. There's a YALSA blog, Engaging Teens Through Service, that you can definitely take a peek at. The 40 developmental assets from the Search Institute is included there too, so take a peek at that. And also, if you have teen interns, I'd never had interns. I just had volunteer teens. But I also added YALSA's Summer Reading Teen Intern Toolkit for your reference as well. So these are all some things you can read to consider. And really quickly, we've got some upcoming events that you should definitely check out. So we have Check It Out coming up on Tuesday, April 22nd and Tuesday, May 27th from 11 a.m. to noon, where I book talk 30 plus books in an hour. Sign up on Workday Learning for all of these. Level up your summer reading book list for all ages. That's going to be a fun webinar with myself and Sam Bowers. That's going to be Thursday, April 24th from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock a.m. I will be giving away a summer reading level up at your library prize themed book bag. You definitely want to check that out because I have a lot of goodies to give away that are summer reading themed for level up at your library. Also, next month for PopYS Live, we are moving it to Tuesday, May 13th from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. The reason why is because we have a meeting on the Wednesday that we normally have PopYS Live. But May's topic will be organizing recruited presenters. Basically, what do you do when a performer or a presenter doesn't show up? Because let's face it, that is a librarian's worst nightmare. But we've got you covered. We'll cover all the things you can do for kids, teens, and adults. And I do say adults too, on Tuesday, May 13th from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock p.m. And that, wow, with only minutes to spare. My goodness, I made it right on time. Imagine that, folks.
And it looks like we got through all the questions. You were good about getting to all theirs. I don't think we missed anything. So just lots of thank yous and great info as always.
Yes, if you need something, please, you guys know where to reach me. Call me, email me. I'll even take a text. Why not? But please definitely reach out. And if you have some cool team programs, please invite me. I'd love to see them. I'd love to see your volunteers in action. So please reach out. And yes, happy library week. Yes, Morgan says happy library week. Happy library week to you too. So thank you guys. Have a good afternoon. Oh, Emily says we love our teen volunteers. Yay. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm still friends with one of the volunteers that was at the Sioux City Public Library when she was there when I worked there. She like watched my kids a couple times. We still talk, and oh my gosh, I just loved her.
It's weird. Like all my the teen volunteers, when they grow up, you're like, oh my God, you were like 13 and now you're in college.
It's three
I
kids in a
mean,
row. I'm so
at least
old.
double major now. And I'm like, oh my God, it's insane. And I'm like, they grow up. Sorry, this is Mother Hen coming out of me too. So, and Taylor says, I volunteered as a teen and now I run the show. Yes, I love it. Future librarians in training. I love it. I
All
love
right.
it.